All right, go check out his video. He had stitching off, downloads off, all that. So it's ceros.tv, ceros.tv, to hear what he's talking about. To give you the shortened version of it, basically, he was very confused because a friend of his passed away, and the mom was rather relieved and happy about the fact because she felt a great burden removed. She could finally do things she wanted to do, and he was confused by it. He didn't get it. So I'm going to add some unpopular commentary here in just a second. All right, so for the unpopular opinion of things, this keeps coming up. I keep hearing this all the place. People are like, children are a miracle. They're a blessing. Children are not a miracle. They're not a blessing, okay? Nobody can quantify to me why that is. Usually, if I push that issue and I ask people why are children a blessing, and you guys can leave your answers there, they'll be like, because children just are. Just are is not an answer. Just are is the cover that's given when you don't have an actual answer to provide for why something is. It just is. They just are. They're not. Children are not special. They're not a blessing. Children are a burden. They're a burden to many people. Do you know the average cost to raise a child? And this is based on a quick search on Google. You can see it. But the average cost to raise a child is about $233,610, right? So immediately, that's from birth to 18. You're putting yourself at a burden, right? And I know some people say, well, it's an investment. It's not, though. You're not going to get a return on that. And the return of being joy, I don't understand that, because you don't have to have children to enjoy the things children do, right? You can go watch funny videos of children doing the things that would make you laugh as a parent. It's not any different. It's a kind of weird thing where we associate that because your child did it, it's special when children do the same thing, right? Beyond that, children are not a miracle, right? Childbirth is not a miracle. Reproduction is not a miracle, right? It would be a miracle if out of every million women, one woman could conceive, then it'd be a miracle. Then it would be a miracle. But it's not. The fertility rates are much higher than that. It's not a miracle. So it isn't. The miracle of life. Life isn't a miracle. There are people who are not intelligent enough to make proper decisions who continue living. Life is obviously not a miracle. That in itself is not a miracle. It is a factor of the fact that things are far too easy for survivability at this point, that we've evolved to a degree where it is very hard for people to pass on for inconsequential reasons. Stuff happens, yes, absolutely, but with the population numbers you have, not surprising. People don't like to hear this. They don't like to hear this, right? But the vast majority of children do not go on to do great things. Think about that. As a millennial, think about how you are now responsible for X amount of things you do not want, do not care for, do not need, and all of the stress that comes with that, simply because somebody decided to reproduce with somebody else. And now you are under the stress of a collapsing economy and everything else. Life's real great, ain't it? George Carlin used to talk about how people thought kids were so special, and that's partly where this comes from, because that has resonated. And he's right. You take a handful of kids, and out of that handful, 2, maybe 3 might do something spectacular. The rest are not. And think about that. If you've had children, there is a good probability that your children are just going to be equipment for a corporation. That's it. They're equipment for a corporation. They're a cog in the machine. Men, I don't think, get as heavily affected by having children as women do. But for women, you lose your body. Unless you're lucky genetically or you have your children severely young, you lose your physical body to having children. It's never the same. Even if you're severely young, there's still sacrifice. And just as an example, you lose your ability to get better education, to better yourself, because men usually take priority on bettering themselves. And yeah, I know men argue, well, I have to do all the work. I have to work all the time. And yeah, but you were already set in what you were doing, or you still have the capability to do better. Women usually lose that. Women usually get to stay home, or they get the joy of working a crappy job while taking care of kids. That's what they get, right? Unless you're lucky enough to be one of those women who gets to have a husband who's doing fairly well and you could just be a stay-home mom, but is that really what you want to do? And women also don't get to get things better after the fact. After women have exhausted themselves through raising a child, there's no payback. The kids are gone. Now they get feelings of empty nesting. You don't get it back. And by the time you're done, maybe you're in your 40s. Vacationing is not the same in your 40s as it was in your 30s or your 20s. So you've lost all of that now, after being, most likely, forced into having children, talked into having children that you may not have wanted. So when that woman is trying to express how happy she is that her son is gone because now she can live her life, I don't think a number of men understand. Because children are not a blessing. They're not a miracle. It's a burden. It's a burden you have to bear, and we lie to ourselves and we tell ourselves it's because they're going to do something great or children are special, and it's a lie. They're not. If I told you at the beginning of you having children that your kid was going to do nothing better than working minimum wage, will never aspire to anything else, will have crippling debt and anxiety, and you did that, would you still have children? Would you still have children? Because the reality is your kid's not going to be in a place where they can do great things. How many of you are going to be able to send your kid to an Ivy League college? How many Ivy League colleges are going to accept your kid? Do you have the money to provide to them so they can become president or an astronaut? That's what we used to tell people, right? That's what we used to tell our kids. I remember being told that. You can be anything you want when you grow up. You could be president. That's a lie. You can't. It won't happen. The vast majority of common people will not do better than being clerks, will not do better than working minimum wage jobs, or at maybe slightly above minimum wage. Even middle class is disappearing at this point. So really ask yourself why you want children, why you're having them. And I'm happy to see more women making the decision not to have children, because it doesn't make any sense. We're not superhuman mutants, so passing on genetic material is not really mattering much, right? It's not like the old days where it's like I had to have kids to keep my plot of land safe. None of us have that anymore. It just doesn't work. Most kids, even if they can inherit your property, wouldn't be able to pay the taxes, so they're going to lose it anyway. So if you think you're going to leave your house to your kids, your car to your kids, all that, even if you have anything left to give them, they're probably going to lose it due to taxes, or if there's bills to be paid that your estate has to be paid. They'll be left with nothing. And there isn't much to pass on. No, it's not the news you want to hear, but you guys need to be thinking about that. So, yeah, again, children aren't a blessing. They're not a miracle. They're just not. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. I'm interested to see some of the answers this video gets.